It's a blessing to have this opportunity today to be with you here on this Wednesday. And today I'd like to just ask you the question, how are you doing? Are you getting a little weary? Have you been tempted at times with all the news swirling around to just feel like giving up and just hold on and sort of hunker down? Or are you encouraged to serve the Lord, knowing that there's a great ministry that God has for us? The Apostle Paul had a very stressful, strenuous, but productive ministry by the time he wrote the book of 2 Corinthians. God had used him mightily to start many, many churches, and yet he had suffered. By this time, he had already had a time in prison. He had been stoned and left for dead. He was beaten. Many things had occurred, so he had experienced a lot of things. And he says in verse 1 of chapter 4 of 2 Corinthians, "Therefore, seeing we have this ministry, as we have received mercy, we faint not." He said, I'm not giving up. I am not going to faint. No matter what's happening to me, this ministry that God has given to me is too important. And friend, if we can look at our life not as just living a good Christian life, but as the fact is that we're all servants of the Lord and have a purpose and a cause, that will change everything. And so when we sort of get thrown back on our heels, we can make the decision, no, we're not going to faint, because there's something much bigger than myself that I have to keep my mind on. The Apostle Paul goes through all that the ministry entailed and the issues that he had gone through. Just very interesting. And then he says in verse 15, "For all things are for your sakes, that the abundant grace might through the thanksgiving of many redound to the glory of God, for which cause," there it is, all this that God is doing, that's the cause. "For this cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day." And he goes on to talk about the fact that he had his eye on eternal things, and that's what kept him going. Friend, if you feel like fainting, get your eye on eternal matters. Our lives are not what's important. The cause of Christ is what's important. Serving him. And though our outward man perish, God will renew our inward man if we will walk with him and allow the Spirit of God to give us a vision and a purpose for our lives. So I want to encourage you today, if you feel a little bit feeble need, as Hebrews chapter 12 talks about, let's let God work in our hearts. Let's get focused again and get excited about serving the Lord.